and you can move on to the rest of your agenda.
All right, thank you, Doug. We will leave the hearing open till 5:55.
So they also they all did that. Also the teams. Hey, good to see you. Thanks for the question.
So they did love
Like that we. Kind of like what, how many credits.
So in other words,
So what are we? Are you excited? Yeah. Okay. And then he's out. Oh, yeah, it was good. It was good.
Okay, we are officially closing our budget hearing.
I heard you. It's closed.
Our regular meeting will begin at 6 o'clock. Hi, welcome everyone to the USD230 Board of Education meeting on June 23rd, 2025. Rachel, please take the roll.
Mrs. Horn,
Here.
Mr. Chitwood,
Here.
Mrs. Mitchell,
Here.
Mr. Ewing,
Here.
Mrs. Milius,
Here.
Mr. Hull,
Here.
Mrs. Baker.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. All right, moving on to the approval of the agenda.
Madam President, I'm going to move to approve the agenda as presented with the addition of an action item 9.02, approval of the amended budget.
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second to approve the agenda with an additional action item. Any discussion? Rachel, please take the vote.
Mr. Chitwood,
Yes.
Mrs. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Ewing,
Yes.
Mrs. Milius,
Yes.
Mr. Hull,
Yes.
Mrs. Baker,
Yes.
Mrs. Horn.
Yes.
Approved.
Thank you. All right, would everyone rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. Moving on to our mission and vision. We read these at the beginning of every meeting to keep all of these goals in the forefront and remind us as we make decisions. So our mission is to be a school district that engages students to learn, create, adapt, and succeed in an ever-changing world. And our vision is to maintain small town values and empower each student to achieve world-class success. All right, moving on to public participation.
One card was presented.
Thank you. We have one card from Mr. Phil Elliott.
Thank you. I just wanted to take a quick second and thank the school boards, the community, and the staff for the last 30 years. It's been a great opportunity, and I really appreciate it. I knew I wouldn't be able to say everything I needed to in 3 minutes, so I did provide the clerk a letter, and she'll pass around so that you can have that for your reading pleasure. But I want to specifically call out a few of the director team that I've had the opportunity to work with both currently and previously, and then my technology team. They've definitely helped the district come a long way and made me shine over the years. So just wanted to say thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to good news, recognitions, and announcements. Dr. Luttrell?
Yes, we have several recognitions that we're honored to do this evening and draw attention to. We'd said at our last meeting that we had several students and teams that we wanted to recognize, and we would get them here as soon as we could. And so I think we're able to get most all of them here this evening. And we're going to kind of go in segments, and we're going to do different groups. And what we're going to do is we're going to probably bring each group, as they're called, up to the front. Then if we could have their coach or their sponsor step to the mic and introduce each of the students, or maybe have the student introduce themselves. Also would like to have each student tell who their parents are, what grade they're in, and maybe what particular position or event that they did. And then we're going to do all of our groups. And then after this, we also have another recognition we're going to do with some of our staff. And then I think we're going to take a break at that point. And for all of our people being recognized, we're going to have some cookies and refreshments over here that we would like for everyone to stay around for. And at that time, we would also like to get each group back up at that time for a photo. So again, that's kind of be the format. But moving right along, our first group that we want to recognize, and I'm going to ask, as we said, that is our varsity boys track. And if Coach Smitherin and them will come down to the front, and I think we have as well as some of those individuals that are here to give some recognition to because they did very well at the state track meet, especially in a couple of events. So if Coach, if you want to come down and if you want to bring any of your athletes that you brought with you tonight or that were able to come, I'd like for you to come and tell us a little bit about what the events they've excelled in and have them introduce themselves. So Coach Smitherin.
We're a little thin tonight. We had 4 of our guys go and compete at a national meet out in Eugene, Oregon here this past week. And a couple of them are still in travel back here to Kansas. One of them was able to join us tonight. One of the members of our 4x8 relay team that took second at state and third all-time Kansas best in the 4 mile, which is what they competed in out in Eugene, Oregon. The rest of the crew couldn't be here. Jack, Dagan, and Logan all wanted to be, but I said travel arrangements kind of conflicted with this, but we're still very, very, very proud of their accomplishments.
Okay. Again, you wanted to see, are your parents here? Were your parents able to come?
All right, I'm a little scared to have a mic, but my mom is right there. Her name's Katie George.
Okay.
I'm Callan George. I'm graduated, so.
Well, again, we are very proud of the accomplishments of the team. I know as Coach Smitherin said, they excelled very well. They were the overall in the first place finish in the 800-meter run for Mr. Janovic, who ran a time of 1:53, and it was the best among all classifications. And then we also had the 3,200-meter relay team, which again, Kaylin George, Mr. Janovic, Logan Beckham was also on that team, and Dagan, and they placed, as we said, a new school record in that, and I think it was overall a second place finish. So again, Coach Smitherin, and what else would you like? Anything you want to say about that group? Any of those other groups here for that?
Covered it.
Okay. And then one thing he's not saying is that this past fall, as you know, our boys cross country team, which we did bring and recognize at the time, competed and won the state championship in Class 5 cross country. But later on that same fall, Coach Smitherin was also named the Kansas Track and Field United States Coaches Association for the state of Kansas, the Coach of the Year for cross country. So again, we want to congratulate him on that as well.
And since you graduated, thank you so much for coming in. You thought you were done. You thought you were done with us.
Yeah,
Really appreciate it.
Thank you all very much. Next up, I would like to have Coach Corey Katz, as well as the members of our varsity girls softball team, come to the front. And like I said, I'll have Coach Katz kind of give you a synopsis of their season and their accomplishments. As you know, they got second overall in our state tournament this last month. So again, Coach, I know he's here. He was here earlier. But come on down and, like I said, come to the mic and kind of give us a summary. And if have any of your student athletes that are here this evening or other coaches or help come down, and you can have them introduce themselves and maybe tell what grade they are, what position they played, and how they like playing in the state tournament. So Coach, give us a little bit.
Well, my name's Corey Kotzer. Thank you, first of all, for having us. It's a busy time of year for everybody. We are also a little thin on numbers tonight. A lot of our girls are either out working or out playing. Believe it or not, many of them are actually leaving tonight, tomorrow, and Wednesday for big tournaments in Colorado, which is why I think that this group is as successful as they have been, because they continue to put in the time and the energy and the work that is necessary for us to sustain what we've been able to accomplish over the last 5 years, culminating in a state runner-up finish. I know a lot of people have said that we are number one, but unfortunately the state doesn't recognize it that way. So we'll take what they give us and go on. So tonight we have I'll start with the players, Jaylee White and Holly McFarland, Coach Victoria Gutierrez, and Coach Haley Bakira. So, thank you.
What was your final season record?
26-4.
Again, quite an accomplishment to even go to 500. Like I said, the last 2 years since I've been watching very closely, they've passed that. And like I said, they've won 20 plus each of the past 2 years and have gotten to the state tournament. And like I said, and represented USD230 very, very well. So again, congratulations. We appreciate the commitment you made to Spring Hill Schools. We also have had students from our FFA as well as our speech and debate forensics. Students have been to some competitions that have been competitions in which you had to qualify for, and they have also represented Spring Hill School District very well. In fact, some of them just arrived back this weekend from a competition that they attended in the Des Moines, which was the National Speech and Debate Tournament. So this time I'm going to ask that their sponsor that's present to please come forward, and I'll have her introduce the ones that are here, and they can tell you as to what particular events they were represented in and excelled at, and we'll give them some round of applause because, again, they have also, on the academic side, done very, very well in representing us. So you can come on down.
Hi, I'm Allie Kessler. I'm the coach of the speech and debate team. We did attend a competition this past week. We came back on Friday. That was NSDA, which is our major or our biggest national tournament. We also attended NCFL, which was a couple weeks before. And I have some lovely speakers that I would love to come up, and they are going to introduce themselves and talk about their events. And then we also have one of our speakers who placed at the state tournament that will talk about their success.
Hello, I'm Alejandro Garcia. I am was senior. I'm graduated now. And during my tenure doing speech and debate at Spring Hill High School, I was able to become a national qualifier for NCFL, the National Catholic Forensics League. I got first at the Frontier League tournament for poetry. I got 12th in the state for informative. And it's kind of like little miscellaneous. The summer going into my senior year, I was one of 2 people selected to represent the state of Kansas as a senator in Washington, D.C. So, yeah.
I'm Jackson Roberts. I'm going to be a junior next year, and this is now my second year attending NCFL. And in state, I placed 6th for United States domestic extemporaneous speaking, and I got 2nd in the Frontier League for USX and 1st for my FL. Thank you.
I'm Kaylee Howell. I'm going to be a senior next year, and I double national qualified this year, and it was in congressional debate, and I was a semi-finalist in both tournaments, which is really fun and exciting. I don't do the events like extemp or anything that they do. They all go on Saturdays, and I'm a Friday event kid, so all I do is debates. So there's that. Yes, thank you. And my name is Ariella Minaj. This was my second year. Oh, wait. I'm going to be a junior this year. This was my second year going to state, and this year I was able to claim the title of state champion in my event pros.
Okay. And again, thank you all very, very much. I think she has some certificates for you. And then one thing also we want to announce is that the good things don't happen without a good coach, a good sponsor. And our forensics team are very fortunate to have, good sponsors. And we also want to recognize, as we said, Allison, the sponsor, was also recognized here recently as the new coach of the year for the National Speech and Debate Association local district. So again, quite an honor. People recognize the work that is being done. So again, let's give the coach a great big round of applause. And then also recently, it's not part of the forensics, but as you remember last month, we did announce that also Mrs. Kaylee Howe also attended and represented Spring Hill High School with the FFA recently. And she was the state champion in the event that she participated in and would be representing the state of Kansas at the national competition, which will be held this fall. So Kaylee, anything you want to add about that or?
Yes, it's a fun speaking event, more debate. But I also want to say I think there was a little bit of a time mix up with our sponsor. So I just want to say Keegan over here, double national qualified in both of his events. I believe it's poultry and dairy cattle. So if you want to talk about that, Keegan.
Yeah, at nationals, we had two teams going to we had two teams win state, and I happened to be on both, and I will be competing at nationals for poultry because you have to pick one. Unluckily, all of our team thought it started at 7, and my advisor would like to let you guys know she will be here for a presentation.
We will still be here.
I was going,
Thank you, guys.
the rest of the team's cutting hay, aren't they?
Probably a lot of them are at work. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you all very much. And then I'm going to this time turn our good news recognitions and announcements over to one of our directors, April Horn, who wants to say a few words about some very special individuals that have played a pivotal role and helped Spring Hill Schools win a lot of accolades through the years and put us in the position that we are today. So Director Horn.
So I am so excited to get to do this. So I have a bit of a math problem, so I'm really happy we have so many students here. And Doug and John, this one's for you. What is 28 plus 30 plus 31 plus 32 plus 38? Anybody keeping track? That is 159. We have 5 folks here with us today for the last official meeting that have put in 159 years worth of experience, knowledge, and mentorship to our district. They have sat with us through a lot of fun meetings. They have seen the district grow. They have played critical roles in our success. They have planted so many incredible seeds in our students, in our admin teams as they've changed and been hired on, and to the board. So our board could not go tonight without extending a huge thank you to Doug, to Michelle, to Phil, to Tim Mink, and to Cindy for just everything that they have done. We're gonna miss you guys tremendously, but we're so excited that we're a part of your story and that you are a part of ours. But in case you're worried about what you can do now on Monday nights, I have a few suggestions. So Spring Hill has an adult softball league that plays on Mondays. So if you guys want to get something started, Mi Ranchito has a special, their Pollo Del Mar, so you can go have some dinner and maybe a drink because you're not gonna be here. Austin's half price burgers, and probably the one that we're all most jealous about is you never have to miss a Chiefs Monday night football game. So there you go. So we're still gonna do pictures, right? So we want to do all the student groups and pictures, but we do have cookies, and there's plenty for every student, parent, staff, anybody who's here. Please grab a cookie, and then we do have gifts from the board for our 5 folks who are leaving us, not officially, but this is their last meeting, so are leaving us tonight. So that's it.
Okay. Well, thank you, April and Dr. Luttrell. We are going to take a small break, 15 minutes. We'll get pictures and enjoy refreshments. We'll be back at whatever, 6:35. 6:35. Thank you. Okay, thank you, everyone. We are back in session.
Here's your air horn.
Okay, and we are moving on to approval of the consent agenda. The
Go ahead. Are you going to read?
approval of the consent agenda includes approval of the consent agenda, approval of the minutes, clerk's report, treasurer's report, payroll and claims, personnel, renewal of typing club, renewal of chemistry, the central science, renewal of HMA social studies online textbooks, renewal of formative grades 6 through 12, Woodland Springs School BIST contract, facility use fees, Maxim contract, and the paper supply order.
Madam President, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented and read.
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? I would like to take a moment to recognize Miss Kelly King for many years of service as well for our district. Her retirement or resignation looks like it's coming a little late and maybe wasn't, she didn't get to celebrate with us during our retirement ceremony, but my kids had her as a para in preschool, and she's wonderful and caring and a staple at Sheila. So thank you. Any other thoughts or discussion? Rachel, please take the vote.
Mrs. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Ewing,
Yes.
Mrs. Milius,
Yes.
Mr. Hole,
Yes.
Mrs. Baker,
Yes.
Mrs. Horn,
Yes.
Mr. Chitwood,
Yes.
approved.
Wonderful. Okay, we're moving on to 8.01, the Spring Hill High School FFA Nationals trip. Is that sponsor here? Oh, there you are. Hi. That's okay. Come on up. We'll let you speak and we'll do some recognitions after.
You guys want to say some stuff? The first couple slides are just what National Convention is. You wanna let them over here?
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Okay, so basically, I'll let them cover what National Convention is, and then I'll talk to you about the money side of it, since I'm the one that makes all those reservations. But
Nationals is the farthest you can go as an FFA member. It is very hard to go to, and it's very fun to be at. You can either compete, and I've been to it twice just to have fun. It's a good little bit where you get to miss school. And this year I have a better reason to be at it, but it's very fun.
just click if you want.
Do I keep going?
I mean, you don't have to keep going.
Okay, I'm good.
Okay. So when you attend National Convention, there's also obviously many benefits. There's a career fair and college expo where you get to see different agricultural opportunities across the nation. And there's also more industry professionals there that you get to talk to and kind of explore different careers that you might be interested in the ag industry. And then you can also just meet and get to know FFA members from across the country and kind of their experiences with agriculture.
Some more benefits of attending the National Convention. Some of the sessions that celebrate the brightest FFA, of what they have accomplished and what they've done so far for many students across the United States. Some tours of agricultural businesses where you get to go inside their offices and you get to see what they do and pretty much how they run everything and how it comes back to all the farmers across the world. There's also National Days of Service where we go out and help the community, and college or trade school preparations where you can learn how to weld or some sort of woodworking or maybe even automotive.
I don't know if you guys can see them, but the top one is my favorite, the top left, because it's the largest honey farm in the country. They let the kids go in the tent and hold all the stuff, and it's really cool. We went to the Kentucky Derby Museum because it's only a couple-hour drive straight down to Louisville. That's the Louisville Slugger Museum. We went to a large-scale dairy facility. We also went to the largest producer of poinsettias on the way. It's in St. Louis. So we will not be attending there anymore because they have converted a lot of their greenhouses to other things that have more recently become legalized. So it's kind of off our tour list, but it was really cool when we did get to go. This year we have the opportunity to take 9 kids to nationals because they have won their state contest. We won dairy cattle evaluation, poultry evaluation, and then Kaylee won an individual contest in extemporaneous speaking. So it's really cool. They get to represent Kansas, and they will be the only teams from Kansas going and attending nationals in this. So no pressure, but Kansas is riding on your backs right now. But we would ideally also take a handful of students who are seniors who have never had the opportunity to attend and likely will not have the opportunity to attend if they don't go. But that will be pretty much the only people we take this year, just because there are so many national competitors. And it's hard to maneuver Indianapolis with 65,000 additional people in it. So bringing more than that seems like more of a headache for me and Miss England, who actually just got off a flight from Ireland. So she is not here tonight. But those are our state winners. So national competitors and any seniors that haven't attended, likely going to have to be 3 chaperones just to manage the schedule of having everyone where they need to be at the right times. I do believe, I don't know who our 3rd one is going to be yet since it's in October, but me and Miss England obviously will be attending. We'll leave Tuesday, October 28th and return on the evening of Halloween, which is Friday night. Cost is the subs for me and Miss England, as well as use of the school Suburbans. And then the hotel rooms for only the competitors. Those additional seniors will have to pay their way like every other kid who's ever gone. But we'd like to ask the board to cover their expenses since they worked really, really hard to win a contest that if many of you probably never been or seen an FFA contest, but they are incredibly hard to win. And it's come down to 1 or 2 points before in the past for us not getting to go to nationals because of that. So really want to recognize how hard it is for them to be in this spot they're in right now and recognize that accomplishment. Their registration cost is posted, but all of the other stuff like the tours and things like that have not been posted yet. So I don't know specifically the total cost of that based on additional or past years is what I've, I guess I can't see it on there. Oops, I must have cut that off. I did try and put the cost, but it's around $200 a kid between all of the tours we go on, their registration, and if we go to the concert or the rodeo, because that's just a fun thing to do when you're there and they bring the world's greatest rodeo. Or a couple years ago, they had Garth Brooks there. It's a great concert for the kids to attend if many of them have never been to one. So that's basically it. Do you have any questions for me or the kids?
So clarifying on money, so this would fall under our new policy. So students who, and I'm saying this out loud to make sure everybody's in agreement, students who have won a category are getting the $500 stipend towards the event. Students who are going to go do not.
Are paying their own way.
Right.
Yes, that's the way I understood it too, John.
Okay.
So I'm glad you clarified it, right? But that's what we're talking about. They are representing not only Spring Hill, but in this case, Kansas, and they are competing, right?
Yep.
for a national title. Yep. That's the way I understood it too.
I'll just add that Keegan is a very close friend of the Horn family. And so I have been very fortunate to hear him come home and tell some of the stories of the things that he has experienced. And it's always so fun. He talked a lot about the different trips they got to go on, the different things, the colleges they went around to talk to. I mean, it's just a really neat experience for these kiddos, in addition to being able to compete, which is phenomenal. So I just love that you guys do this every year.
Yeah. Was excited last year because it was the first convention I'd gotten to enjoy as an advisor without competing, but I'm ready. I'm ready for them to be back in the competing spot. So.
Well, and I'm going to take this opportunity to just remind you and ask that we had a board meeting at Spring Hill Middle School last year for your attendance to the national competition last year. And there was some talk about the uniqueness of jackets, club jackets, right? Team jackets, I should say, particularly those that are from far off distant places like Puerto Rico, Micronesia, Indonesia.
A picture. Someone did get a picture of Puerto Rico.
Okay.
And we couldn't remember which school board member asked for it.
That's me.
Okay. One of them has it. I don't remember who, but
Okay.
I will find that picture.
Okay. Well, and then in talking to the students tonight, I guess US Virgin Islands are represented too. So we'll count that simply because that's kind of an exotic location to have an FFA, right?
Yeah, only their state officers attend because there's only like 26 members in their, in their state association.
All right. But give me a couple of pictures and I'd be happy to contribute to the fund.
Okay. We'll make sure.
Personally.
Picture.
And is this the one that you're asking for approval? Is this the one that Kaylee will compete in?
Yes.
At the national? Okay.
Yeah. National convention is all our leadership and career development events all happen at one time, as well as our big award ceremony for the best kids in the nation for proficiency awards, Star Farmers, which is named after the Kansas City Star because FFA did start here in Kansas City. But very, very cool. We don't have any kids doing that. We have the competing events, so they'll be at the Indiana State Fairgrounds. Keegan actually was really cool and was on both state winning teams. So he had to pick. So he chose poultry evaluation. So we have recent graduate Legacy Murphy is going to be stepping in and filling in his role there on the dairy cattle evaluation team. So very blessed. She's going to college on a livestock judging scholarship. So it's a really transferable skill.
Wow. That is very cool. So I love to go to all our state competitions, or I try to make it and see our kids compete at that level. Should we all just book now to watch Kaylee win and watch Legacy and Keegan win all the things?
Well, can't count that poultry team out.
Yeah, that's Keegan and Legacy, right?
So
and
they actually televise.
Is it a team?
Yeah, they are 4-person teams.
I understand now. Thank you.
They televise all of the sessions where they announce results on RFD TV. So anybody can watch it online at home. If you want.
RFD.
If you go back and watch the Kansas FFA Association's one of them live streaming the results from state, you can hear Keegan scream in relief when Spring Hill won poultry. Or is that dairy cattle?
No,
it was definitely.
Well, I'll go on the record right now as saying there's a kicker in it if I get a picture of one of these prize chickens. Okay. That should be pretty easy to come up with.
We'll hope that we have live birds because of avian influenza. We might not. We don't actually know yet, but I'm hopeful.
Okay. So it's interesting that we have kids coming back to compete.
Yeah.
Yes.
So since they compete for state in May, we actually have 2 former graduates that will be coming back. Legacy will be coming back, and then Logan Alexander was on the poultry evaluation team, so he'll be coming back to compete as well.
Okay, very cool. Well, I'm excited for you guys, and RFD TV, I will look that up. Any other thoughts, comments? I think that we missed some of the kids during the first recognition. And so I think we'd love to recognize them now and get a picture with all of you.
And if you want to reiterate again, just the award winners you had at the competitions and what event they did, if you would do that again, then we'll come down and get a picture real quick with the group.
So our dairy cattle evaluation team was Emma Meek, Kinsley Rodden, Emma Kaiser, and Keegan. Two of them are out of town, and Emma actually had surgery on her foot today, so she is not here. And then our poultry evaluation team was Brooklyn Sharon, Keegan Bonner, Logan Alexander, and Landon Alexander. And then Kaylee Howe was our winner of extemporaneous speaking.
So you have 9 kiddos headed.
I don't think we announced all of that. I just thought it was it for 2 of them.
Yeah, I don't have great pictures, but I have pictures.
No, that's great. Okay, I'm gonna be watching. Okay. Man. Very sorry. No idea. Yeah, right.
All right.
Okay. Thank you guys for coming in. We will move on to 8.02 weighted grades and Latin honors recognition update.
We just completed our first year at Spring Hill High School of having weighted grades and going to a Laude system of recognition for recognition at graduation. And so we had told the Board of Education that we would give an update at the end of our first year. And so we have some representatives from our district as well as at the high school to kind of give us an update and show you some data that I think you'll find very, very positive. Thank you. So we'll hand over to Mrs.
Okay, good evening. We, as Dr. Littrell said, we're just here to kind of give you an update and let you kind of see how this first year of implementation has gone. Our goal is really just to kind of review the weighted grades, Latin honor system, and analyze the success. We feel like it's going very well, but we want to show you kind of what we've talked through, what we've been looking at. We have some people up here, some teachers. Let them introduce themselves. We've got some students that would also like to share a little bit about their experience and maybe a parent or two. Yes, very good. Okay. So just for reminder, in case you don't have high school age children or have not had weighted grades, just kind of a little reminder of what it is. This is a letter grade that is assigned with a numerical advantage. This is only for our highest level courses. So for us, that's going to be like our AP advanced placement courses, our College Now courses, our honors courses. And that represents the most rigorous learning standards. Students are asked to do much more high level work, and there's a bigger time commitment. So this allows them to get kind of a benefit for taking those courses. Why we wanted weighted grades and why we feel this is beneficial is it encourages students to take more rigorous courses without fear of lowering their GPA. And I would say that you'll see from the data, but it's been successful. Higher education programs are not just looking for your GPA. They are also looking for what kinds of courses you are taking. Like, are you challenging yourself? Are you a well-rounded student? Those kinds of things. And also just the things that they can learn from taking something that challenges them is really important. As well as just helping our students to remain competitive so that we are offering the same types of opportunities that our neighbors are. So we feel like this has gone really well. And I've got some people up here that will share a little bit more information with you.
Hi, I'm Haley Bakura, and I am an AP European history teacher and a world history teacher over at the high school. This is a current list of the courses that we offer right now that receive the weight for the weighted grades. As you can see, we have a plethora of classes that come from different course contents. So there's plenty of courses for students to choose from. Maybe they're a science kid and they want to load up on all the science classes. They have those opportunities. If they're wanting to do more history or social studies courses, they have those opportunities there as well. I actually graduated from Spring Hill in 2015, and the list of courses that has come since then is astronomical. I wish that I had these course offerings when I came here. I actually moved here from Iowa in 2012. And so I definitely had a lower course offerment when I moved here. And so to see this list has made me really happy to have these opportunities for students. And like Kristen said, to stay competitive with those Olathe schools. I think that this is huge. And you'll see here in a little bit, we have some more courses kind of coming down the pike for students to take as well. These are kind of some list of courses that we have that show the enrollment from last year, this current year, and the predicted or current enrollment in those courses for the following school year. As I said, I teach AP European History. One thing I want to point out is the 2023 to 24 school year. This was actually before weighted grades. And on top of that, that was actually my first year teaching the course. And so I had 26 brave souls who decided to take an honors course, an AP level course, a college level course as sophomores. It's actually the only AP course offering for sophomores. And so I always told them I was proud of them. They were so brave, all the things, just talking them up. And then after you guys approved the weighted grades, they were able to be rewarded for their hard work from the previous year. This past school year is when we had the first year of implementation for the weighted grades. And as you can see, my course offering or course enrollment doubled. I had 50 kids this last year. I went from 2 sections to 3 sections for AP, which was awesome. It was definitely a learning curve for me to have timely turnaround for grading for those kids with those higher level essays. But they did phenomenal. I had half my day dedicated to them. And now this current or upcoming school year, I have 76. So I have tripled since the first year with those weighted grades, and students kind of feeling kind of a little bit of a safety net with those weighted grades of, oh my gosh, if I get a B, that's still the same as a non-weighted class A. So it definitely makes them feel a little bit better and takes the pressure off and focus more on challenging themselves versus chasing that A that sometimes seems so unobtainable. But as you can see with the other course offerings like college bio, starting from last year, we had 50, we're up to 91 for this current year. So the weighted grade system is proving that it works. We have more students interested, and it's not because our enrollment in the school has gone up, but it's because of that weighted grades that has provided opportunities for kids that maybe were scared to take it because they weren't sure if they would get the A, versus now they're like, I have something that's going to assist my GPA in challenging myself. As I mentioned a little bit ago, we have some other courses that are going to be coming down the pike for students that we'll be talking about either for the not this coming school year, but the following year or the year after for implementation. AP Art 3D Design, AP Bio, Honors English 1, AP Psychology, Honors Global Exploration for freshmen. We didn't really want to do an AP course for freshmen because that's just kind of a lot, but providing a more rigorous opportunity for those freshmen to prepare them for those AP courses in the social studies department is something we've talked about. And then AP Physics and AP Spanish. So those will be some courses that you guys will be seeing on your agenda for approval, hopefully sooner rather than later.
Hi, I am Katie George. I'm one of 3 high school counselors. Also mom of 2 Spring Hill alum, class of 23, class of 25. And also I have a class of 28, going to be sophomore. So I have a little bit of experience with kiddos in the district as well. And they've all been here K through now. So a little bit about the Latin honor system as just a little bit of a reminder in case if you don't remember our presentation earlier this year. So the Latin honor system is an academic recognition system. It actually originated in medieval times, first used by Harvard in America in 1869, and then first used by, we used it at our graduation this year. So first used by Spring Hill High School, class of 2025. It does replace our previous valedictorian and salutatorian recognition system that has been in place for at least 25 years. That's how long I have been in the district. So that's how long I know that it has been here. So we do have the 3 levels, the summa cum laude, which means with highest praise, magna cum laude with great praise, and then finally the cum laude, which means with praise, and so different GPAs to meet those different recognition points. The Latin honor system changes a little bit from the salutatorian and valedictorian system in the fact that students are recognized by a set of standards. The standards, again, are set by or at least proposed by our committee, and then we bring them to you all for approval, which is kind of part of what we've been doing. Some of the advantages of this from my viewpoint is that any and all students are recognized for achieving these standards, which again replaces the previous system of recognizing only those who had achieved the 2 top GPA. So in the past, the valedictorians would all be anybody who achieved that top GPA of 4.0. And then the salutatorians would be any of those who came in second, which is usually a 3.999 something, because they had earned at least probably just 1 B in high school. This replaces that in that it also gets rid of, at least from the counseling office, quite a bit of cutthroat competition among our kiddos. It also relieves quite a bit of grade obsession, as well as stress and anxiety. The stress and anxiety that comes from some of these high-level kids and getting that nasty letter B. I can't tell you how many times I have sat across a kid just bawling their brains out because of that first B. And really, we haven't seen that this year. We're actually there's been a lot of cheering for Bs in some of these upper level courses, which has been really cool to see. It's also convinced kids to stay enrolled in these classes. A lot of times at semester or even midway through semester, they're wanting to bail because they're afraid of their not getting their A, and that really has gone away. This encourages also a lot of collaboration among their peers. It kind of has gotten rid of that competition. They're cheering for one another. They're helping one another. And it's been really cool to see. And then finally, the Latin system makes things really fundamentally equitable, meaning all students have the opportunity to thrive and reach their full potential. So they're all getting recognized if they've met the standard, rather than just those handful of kids that have gotten through on all of their A's. Also, we've done a really good job at making it so we can recognize a wide spectrum of students. And that's something that I always kind of make sure that when I'm in the room, we talk about that we are having courses so STEM kids can be recognized, as well as those who excel in the English and social studies, as well as music and arts and things like that, rather than just those that are only, that small subsection of courses that we offer. It definitely encourages students to take harder courses. Those are conversations that as a counselor I'm having more and more. It's the conversations I want to be having. In the past it was, well, I don't want to take honors chemistry because I really want to get an A, and that 4.0 is what I need. But now we're having conversations that, well, I want to take honors chemistry because that's really important. And even if I get a B, it's okay. And that's what's going to make me more career ready for the next steps. And then finally, just earning a B in an honors course is actually sometimes, not sometimes, but almost always better than getting an A in an on-level course for a lot of kids, just simply because it shows their willingness and their grit to take a hard course. And it's going to be more valuable to them than just simply earning all A's.
Katie, can I just add something here real quick? Because I was fortunate enough to be able to attend the honors and the scholarship presentation at the high school. And, maybe I came from a school of underachievers because quite frankly, when I saw the cum laude list, I was like, okay. I think it may have been 14 was on that. I was like, okay, so we're probably looking at 7 magna and then maybe 3 summa. And I was blown away that the number actually doubled and almost doubled again as you climbed the ladder. So hats off to you, the program in general, because it's impressive to see that many overachievers. Right. And then when we look at the numbers for next year, it's obvious we're on the right track, obviously.
I agree.
Hi, I'm Carla DeCoster. I teach the calculus class and college algebra for dual credit. So I'm just going to go through what our current cutoffs are for our Latin system at Spring Hill High School. So at the highest level, it's for the 4.2 and above. and the Magna is 4.1, and the cum laude is 4.0. And so you can see up here, our goal in this Latin system was to recognize between 20 and 25% of our student body. And you can see that's what's happening through our breakdown. Well, usually we have the cum laude being the biggest, and then we go smaller, as you're saying, like it should get smaller and smaller. But a lot of these students took honors classes and AP classes before they knew they'd have weighted grades. So they took that upon themselves. And I think that can be shown in the percentages. But just so you know, the way we predicted the class of 2026, went back in time there. You can see that we did that based on their 6th semester grade sixth semester grades, and comparing that to the 8th semester, there wasn't a whole lot of change. So that's how we made the prediction. So there might be a little bit of change by graduation, but not a whole lot.
So when we came to you last year to present weighted grades proposal and Latin system proposal, we did our best in trying to anticipate where those cut scores could be. And part of our presentation was to reevaluate that at year 1, and which is what we're doing currently. Our team spent some time taking a look at these cut scores, and we felt that in light of the fact that our course offerings are going to continue, we have lots of goals for our course offerings in the next 3 years. We thought that as these AP courses and as these honors courses are going to be, and college dual credit courses are going to be continually adding, that's only just probably going to raise the ceiling. And while we anticipate that there might be some changes that need to be made, we feel like it would be best and probably wisest to wait another 3 years for a recommendation that would be based on more data. I think right now, if we tried to guess where those cut scores could be, we could make a guess, but we're just making a guess off of 1 year. And again, we'd be back at the same point as we continue to add courses. We might be thinking we needed to change again. And so we just feel like it's the most prudent right now to wait another 3 years before we reevaluate these cut scores and bring that recommendation back to you guys. But regardless, we feel like what our proposal has accomplished, or what we wanted it to accomplish, has definitely been accomplished. I'm looking at a lot of these students right here, and I think that they can attest to that. I'm very, very proud of what we've proposed and how it's fleshing out.
So I have a quick question on that. The current ceiling, whatever it is, potential, I don't want to call it that, but student comes in and takes all honors classes. Tad's been taking it. What's that GPA going to be?
We calculated that. I'm going to bring up my math guru over here. I don't remember. I had that written down.
Yeah, I knew somebody had done it.
It was ballpark of 4.7, but the discussion we've been having is possible and realistic are two different things. I'm not sure that we want a kid to have 7 honors classes. We want them to have time to do activities that we rewarded, or recognized here earlier tonight. But one of the big things is this isn't just a core class system. That's kind of was the excuse for not doing honors class for years and years and years, that, we're going to kill all of our electives. But you can see there are more and more AP elective classes offered. And we do think that some kids are going to pick up some of those just out of curiosity and intellectual, interest. But we don't really have an expectation of a kid taking 7 honors classes a year. We think a more realistic cap is similar to what we're already seeing, but we're certainly monitoring the data year to year to kind of make changes if we need to. But this time, I think what we set up is just about where it needs to be.
Especially when you compare percentages that are being honored with school districts that also offer the Latin system. Our percentages that we're honoring is very comparable to neighboring school districts that do the same thing.
Do you guys level set that the numbers could change with every grade, or with every, is that a counseling session? Do you make sure they understand that today a 4.2 will get you this? But if the numbers start to change, it could shift.
Well, I think, it would start with an incoming freshman class, correct?
Okay, so you would finish out if a freshman today is on this scale, they would graduate with this scale. You would not change it until.
Right. And it would be something that would also go in our program planning guide that's presented to you for the following year. So it would be in there for that following year for that entering class. Because we wouldn't want to change that on students that have already selected courses.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I probably should introduce myself. I'm sorry. I'm Giselle McDonald. I teach AP chemistry and I'm also the instructional coach at the high school.
Okay. And then I would love for some of our students to come and share just kind of their experiences with having this first year of weighted grades. I don't know who wants to share first.
You graduated.
Yeah, I did graduate. You guys just can't get rid of me. So I guess I was kind of charged with answering the question of how challenging courses have like just helped me, especially for college bound students like myself. So I got notes here because I'm not really good at talking to people. So, well, as previously established, weighted grades incentivize people to take more challenging courses. So because of all the challenging courses I've taken, I've gotten 24 college credits before next year. So that's very helpful for me. And I don't really know how much college credits is what, but I don't really know where I'm at in college, but I know that if I wanted to, I could graduate a little early or something like that. It's helpful. It saves money. And everyone likes to save money. So I'm going to start with Calc 2. So I get to skip Calc 1 because I took, what did I take? I took college now, calculus, and I wasn't worried about losing my 4.0 or anything because of weighted grades. So, and then, yeah, going in, I won't need to take any history. And then I don't think I need to take any English either. So that's just always nice because those are the things that, I'm not very good at. I'm definitely a STEM mind. So it's nice to be able to get that out of the way in high school. And I've been given that ability. So because of you guys. So thank you. And then I also think that I'm also going to be a college athlete at the Division I level. So I think that it helped a lot of my recruiting for just being able to take these challenging courses, have allowed coaches to know that, I have the ability to work hard and they won't have to worry about me in the classroom not having eligibility. But I also think that, what I've learned through all these challenging classes has it's just helped me to learn how to work harder and be able to stay on a schedule and be consistent and just be able to work hard every night. And I think that it shows the coaches that, so I shouldn't be a liability, hopefully. So, I think especially for the college bound student that weighted grades are very beneficial, with actually there's no like drawbacks to anyone who isn't necessarily college bound. So that's all I have to say. So thanks.
And since your parents aren't here, I'll say it for you. Your mom's over there. That's about $9,000, $9 to $10,000 is the money.
I mean, that's great. That's money that I get to put in the bank. So.
And I had honestly never considered that it would help even in recruiting for the sports side, but you're 100% right. I mean, to be able to balance the dedication of being a phenomenal athlete and killing it in the classroom is pretty amazing. So that's somebody's pushing, windows. So that's a great point you raised. I don't know what's happening.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Danny Heinen, and I'm an incoming senior next year. And I can say for sure, at least in my experience, I can definitely see it with my peers. Because personally, I've always wanted a challenge academically, and so regardless of a GPA difference, I would take the class, mind the suffering, but it still happens. But for sure, I can see in my peers that they are way more incentivized to take it, especially if they're, on the fence. If, I don't want to lose my A, I want to keep my 4.0 because I want to impress my college or whatever. But it's like pushes them over that edge to challenge themselves. And even further, like if they're taking honors chem, it'll push them, especially in the chemistry pipeline. I know that from taking honors chem and then AP chemistry, that it pushes them down that pipeline and continues them to keep challenging themselves academically. But yeah, that's what I've witnessed.
Thank you. Okay, Kaylee again. Unfortunately, I do not have a 4.7. However, I do have taken some classes that were weighted. I think the biggest thing that I've seen recently is as I'm applying to like these big dollar like competitive scholarships, they all ask what your weighted GPA is. Every single one that I've applied to, which is great because I actually get to tell them now what what that's projected to be by the time I graduate. And I think that it also goes to show that being an overachiever is productive sometimes, but I have firsthand seen how that has caused a lot of stress. I am very like, I want the A, I want the letter grade, and that has definitely blinded my ability to take classes that are challenging for me. But with the weighted grades, I was able to take AP US History. I took advanced debate. I think that's all the advanced class I took this year. But my mom and I definitely had a lot of conversations where it was like, Kaylee, it's okay if you get a B, like you're still gonna have that weight to fall back on, which is nice for me being a very grade and numbers motivated person. And I agree with Danny that I've seen it with a lot of my peers who I never would have expected to take any weighted class, any AP class. And so having like a more diverse group, especially in like my history class, was a lot of fun because it allowed us to have a lot of conversations that we wouldn't have had otherwise because they would not have taken the class without those weighted grades. So thank you guys for allowing us to have that.
Can we all just celebrate the fact that Kaylee just admitted that she is like a very high achiever and puts a ton of pressure on herself? Because she didn't want me to say that as one of my examples as why we thought that this was a good program. I'm not going to reiterate because I feel like we all keep saying the same thing. But one of the ones that I do want to say is that when we came to the district 7 years ago, I was worried and I thought, man, we were taking a step back. We were in Olathe. I had taught in Shawnee Mission and I thought, those were the places to be. But every year, Spring Hill has continued to impress me. And they have continued to drive and do things that are best for our students. And I feel like we are really up and coming. I mean, I know we've said that a lot, but I just think the things that you guys are doing, the teachers are doing, are helping us to become one of the school districts that's being looked at. And so we really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Andy Beckman. I've had a daughter that just graduated. She'll be a junior at Kansas State next year. I have Logan Beckman, who was on the cross-country team. He just graduated this year. And then I have Gavin, who will be a sophomore this year. And just wanted to say thank you so much for the opportunity. And then also just wanted to take the time to say thank you for the time and energy that you all put together to spend and pull away from your own personal time to make Spring Hill great. So I really appreciate that. Also, just want to say thank you because I think about a year ago when we kind of presented the weighted grades thing, I felt like I was maybe, in retrospect, I felt I was a little aggressive in my challenge to you guys. So I thank you for the opportunity to speak again today. But really just kind of reflecting back with Logan here after, just graduating and, we just ask him questions and we always ask, what was the most fun class? What was the most challenging class? And what was the most rewarding class? And AP Chem was the one that allowed him to do that. I always try to, compliment Ms. McDonald whenever I get an opportunity because she has done a fantastic job with her class. And just another personal thing I saw without all the scholarships and the challenging of kids and whatnot. But the thing that I saw too, and we talk a lot about our cross country team and the how the boys. We had really a really strong senior class, and they really worked hard to make each other better. And that's probably one thing that we haven't mentioned tonight that I see is that Logan probably it became a challenge as a team for the people in the class to help each other out. And some of that community, it's great that some of his cross-country buddies were in those classes, but he also got to expose to some other people in his classes that sometimes he doesn't get to spend as much time with, but they found out how to work together and take on that challenge together. So as a parent, as Callan said, that is a lot of money that is very beneficial. College is only getting more and more expensive. So having this opportunity to do the AP is very beneficial. And I just appreciate the opportunity and the openness to change and grow and continue to be progressive. Thanks.
Okay, you guys have any more questions? We just kind of wanted to share with you what we've analyzed over this past year, which
I just had one comment because I had a kid that basically got a C on a advanced placement test, one test and he was salutatorian with a 3.99999 or whatever. So he did fine, but just telling you that it did happen. And it was kind of like, oh, here I go, like I lost my 4.0. You probably remember the kid. So anyway.
This, in the class of 2025, our number one ranked graduate got a B, but took enough honors classes that she was rewarded for it.
It's good. It's all good.
I have a couple thoughts, and I'm looking back through my notes from when this was first presented, and then I think again, you guys had said you're thinking of reevaluating year 1, year 3, year 5.
yes.
Okay, so what if you went and did year 3 and you changed the cut scores and the thresholds? What class? Because that would be, that's quite a ways, right? So we'd have quite a bit go through at that level. I think, first of all, I think this is great. I love recognizing kids. Sorry, I'm getting back to my notes now and today. I think that I had one concern at the beginning of this when it was presented to the site council meetings, and it was the thresholds, because you guys had shown that the hope was to recognize more kids. But my worry is the prestige. So the prestige of it gets lost when more kids get recognized.
So we would expect about 20 to 25% of our students would be recognized by this. And that's actually at the low end of what you'll see around like the metro area. Most of our neighboring districts recognize between 25 and 35% of their kids. The other thing you'll see that doesn't change is cum laude is always 4.0. No matter what, that's always a 4.0. What we will go back and reevaluate would be the magna and the summa, and we know that we will. We will want to go back. What we're worried about is changing it multiple times because that's a little bit confusing. So what we'd like to see is where do we actually land? Where do we kind of even out? Like I know Brent was saying earlier, at some point, like the kids will not take every class we offer because it doesn't even make sense. So they will take a number of classes typically within a pathway or within like a content. You don't typically see kids taking more than maybe 3 a year. So what we'll be able to do, we'd like to actually go back, it would be 2 years from now, is when we actually believe we will have that data. We will have about the max that we could have on AP and weighted grades classes in general. That will be about where our max is with our current staffing and that kind of thing. So I think we'll have a really good number by then, because what you will see, you don't see it this year for I think a variety of reasons, but you will see that the summa cum laude becomes your smallest group. And we would expect that to be about 3 to 5-ish maybe % of our kids. Right now, you'll see that it's a really big group. Part of that, and I think they spoke to a little bit, is these are students who they chose those classes when we did not even have weighted grades, but the kids that were on the fence didn't. So that chunk of kids in the middle, that magna and that cum laude, we will see that increase now as kids feel more comfortable taking challenging classes. And then we can raise up that bar on that summa cum laude. We are thinking it'll be probably around a 4.4 is what we would likely move that up to. But it's just not very practical for us to do that right now based on one data set. It just doesn't really seem like we would be making a good choice in doing that. But I think in 2 years from now, when we go back and evaluate, and while I understand it would take some time to set in place, we just feel like that's going to be the best, because you don't want to change things on kids midstream of, enrolling in classes and things. But that's kind of where our long range planning on what we're anticipating this would be is.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
I just want to say one thing about I do understand that perspective of the prestige is lost, but I think that far counterweighs all the other advantages. I would much rather have kids that challenge themselves, kids that are a better mental space, kids that can be much more all around, kids that can compete at a potential D1 level and not have to stress out about losing their 4.0. It's helpful for a teacher. I feel like I'm able to challenge kids more because I'm not adding that extra level. So I'm actually able to be a much more effective teacher because I know they have a safety blankets in their grade. So I guess what I'm saying is, yes, there is that little downfall, right? That the prestige level might drop a little bit because we're recognizing a wider group of kids, but that far counterweighs all the other advantages is the way I look at it. So, sorry, I just have to.
No, that's okay. I want to also point out that these cut scores are different per school. We set them wherever we want. So I want to make sure as we compare each other to other districts, percentages, it could be way off because we set them ourselves. So every district sets them themselves. So other districts could be extremely higher, could be extremely lower. So and I want to caution everyone there and saying, oh, we're comparable percentage wise. Well, that's not really fair because it's not apples to apples. So the one piece of information that I'd love to see, that course enrollment numbers we have by year, but it's per student. What I'd love to see is the percentage of eligible students, kids eligible to take those compared to like the percentage compared to who did. So I think that would be better because we are rapidly growing. So that number is expected to rapidly increase.
Sorry, this right here, the course. Okay.
I talked about that.
Yeah. Along with the number of courses we are offering have increased. So just looking at the numbers, you would assume those are increasing. And if they aren't, we're doing something wrong. So, so I would love to see those percentages.
Yeah, I just also wanted to add, just because I'm one of the counselors, is we would never advocate for a kid to fill their schedule with all AP, or there's still a very humanness, individual approach. I've had multiple conversations with Danny, and Danny and I visit a lot because he's one of those kids I think would definitely load up his schedule. And so we have very, conversations about everything else that you're involved in. In my own family, I have a freshman going to be sophomore. He's a band kid, and band is just can be a lot of things. And so we have those conversations a lot, individual conversations. So that won't go away. And we still don't advocate for kids to load up their schedule with everything just so they can go to college for cheap. The mental health and being a well-rounded kid is still incredibly important to all of us.
One last comment, and it's in regards to the parents. So Mr. Beckman and I were in the site council meeting at the high school. You might not remember, it's early mornings, those are. So sometimes we haven't had our coffee. But that was the concern of the parents, was that we were recognizing too many kids. And it kind of was interesting. So it's great to hear some of the students say, hey, but I really do believe that the participation trophy mentality creates mediocrity and everyone flows to that. But it's interesting to hear the kids say, but that's not happening. I'm still striving and getting there. So I like hearing that from the students' perspective, because from the parents, it felt like we were still recognizing too many. Like as a parent, you push your kid and you have, there's certain ones. So I'm excited to hear kids aren't saying like, ugh, it doesn't mean much anymore. Everyone gets it. So it's interesting to hear that. And I hope to hear that and 3-5 years when we reevaluate. And so as parents, I'm hoping that the site council, maybe that's reiterated, or hearing the parents' perspective too, like, hey, I don't know if you heard the same thing in that meeting.
Yeah, I think it's things we've talked about, but I guess, much to Ms. McDonald saying, I think the benefits of everything that you get here is much better than the award. I mean, and I don't, maybe there's a better way. And just sitting back there and just random idea, if 2025 had 43 magna cum laude, is that the right one? Summa? Magna? I don't know. Summa, right? Maybe there's like a class award that you compare year over year or something like that as a percentage. I don't know. Maybe it's like the Heisman Trophy, or you get a plaque or something. I don't know. Just a random idea I had back here with, how to make it special. But I also was sitting in the graduation audience in 2022, maybe. And one of the smartest kids I think to ever come, like national scholastic person, was a salutatorian, mainly because he got a B and or maybe a C on an English paper or something. And I didn't think that was fair either. So, I feel like the direction that we're going is the right direction. Now, how maybe there is the summa. I don't know, but anyway, my kid's not going to be the number one because he's too involved in other things. And as a parent, I'd rather have him be involved or her involved in many things than just only academics. So just my opinion. So.
Well, I want to kind of tag on to your opinion there because we're kind of having the conversation around this idea of academic competitiveness and well-balanced students and guiding students to take an optimal class load, not a gladiatorial class load. And so I'm just saying it out loud is that we're having this conversation between prestige and recognition and well-roundedness. So kind of tagging on to data you would like to see, I'd kind of like to see how many classes students are taking. Students are taking on average 3 classes or 2 classes or 5 classes or whatever, because kind of the undercurrent of the conversation that I'm hearing is there's kind of should be, while it shouldn't be a 4.7, kind of the theoretical ceiling should be lower because we're getting to students who aren't well-rounded. We're getting to academic warriors who are missing out on the other part of what we offer here, right? So just tossing that out there. But I'd like to know how many classes students are taking, if there's 50 students here, because that kind of gets to, and I don't need to know it right now, but it kind of gets to, now we're starting to run out of seats. Now we're having to, now the seniors get to do it. I already see this conversation coming, and so if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Bond round 2, run it back. What do you think, Link?
It's fantastic.
I'm not sure I can survive another bond.
For that, too soon. I had a question about, so A is a 5.
Yes.
A B is a 4. Is there do any schools, or is there any opportunity to find some middle ground in those numbers too? So if you get like an 85, you get a 4.5. Do people do that, or is it pretty standard? A 5's an A, a 4's a
That's
B?
pretty standard. And part of the reason is, one, it's not easy to do all of that in Skyward or for your counselor to help figure that out. The other part of the other thing too is we actually like kids to be able to figure out their own GPA.
Without
A couple of
like a scientific calculator.
Correct.
Yeah,
A couple of our neighboring districts do a formula. One of them I still don't understand, and then a couple of them are a little bit more complicated. But in the end, you're just really encouraging kids to take the appropriately challenging courses. So again, like when we first did this study, we looked at we looked at probably 15 to 20 different districts and did tons of research around that. And then our closest districts to us, kind of just to see, because we have open enrollment, they recognize, one of our neighbors recognizes the top 35% and the other recognizes the top 26%. So we're really actually lower than both of them in how many students we recognize. But like I said, what's common is the 4.0 and above typically gets your cum laude. We know we will need to adjust those top 2 numbers. Like I said, I don't think we're done. We're not at a point, you would not continue seeing the top 1 being the biggest. But the other thing is we do want kids doing well. Like we want to, if we could get all of our kids to have a 4.0, that would be amazing.
Right.
So there's this balance between, do we need it to only be a certain number of kids that's the standard piece of it, is really, I want all of our kids being really successful. So.
Right. Yeah. I'm, like I said with Keegan before, I'm really close with the juniors. I have one, an incoming junior. And I remember trip to the football game their freshman year. And it was like, well, why would I take honors classes, right? Like, what's the gain? I want an A, right? And there was like several of them in my car having this conversation. Haven't heard that a single time since this has been implemented, because now they know, like they can see the benefit, and that the safety net of the GPA is huge. It's huge for them to try something that is outside their comfort bubble, and to really push themselves. So the enrollment numbers to me is just a huge win. And I have no doubt that you guys will find the right percentages at the right times, but seeing these enrollment numbers go up is huge.
Yeah, we're pretty pleased with those because again, many of them have tripled and we know like that class size did not triple. I mean, like yeah, we'll get you those numbers, but yeah, the enrollment has increased far beyond just because of having more kids. Like we are seeing kids that are much more interested in pushing themselves. So and that really was the goal.
Right.
So. Anything else, you guys? No? Okay.
Thank you guys for all coming in. We appreciate you guys very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Moving right along. 8.03 strategic plan update with real world learning teacher training CT pathway program.
We will have a one of our goals in strategic planning is, of course, the community engagement piece, as well as academic student success, academic success. And so some of them overlap. But tonight, we're going to get an update on just some of the things that we're doing with our CTE pathway, specifically focusing, on the what we've been doing and what we're going to be doing on the pathway with our teaching teacher training under the real world learning module. So this time I'll let Leah as well as Mr. Tyler, they're going to present this briefly.
We definitely would like to thank the Spring Hill leadership team and also the Board of Education giving us this platform today. Leah and I, we're going to be talking about an exciting topic today around cultivating our own grow your own strategy around trying to recruit Spring Hill students to become future teachers and future educators to build the next generation. And this is kind of the title of our presentation, From Student Teacher, Cultivating the Next Generation of Educators. So for our agenda today, we're going to talk about the KSDE teacher shortage data. It is very outrageous at this point in time right now when you think about the amount of teacher vacancies across the state of Kansas, and we'll talk about that a little bit further. We'll talk about the benefits of Spring Hill Schools future teacher pipeline, and then something exciting around the Spring Hill Schools early offer contract offer recommendation to take a really good proactive approach to uncover and generate excitement for Spring Hill students that potentially want to become future educators. So when you look at the KSDE teacher shortage landscape at this point in time right now, in the spring of 2024, there was 1,810 public school teacher vacancies across the state of Kansas. In the fall of 2024, that number actually went up around 8 to 9% to 1,954. The content areas where we see the most vacancies come from is from math, science, and also special education. I have a lot of experience of going out to recruitment fairs. Math, science, and education is where I see the lowest volume of teacher candidates looking to take future teaching openings or teacher openings across the state of Kansas. And there is a lot of school districts at career fairs. A lot of times there are more school districts at the career fairs than the teacher candidates that are there to actually fill those teacher vacancies. College and universities right now aren't supplying enough candidates for this teacher vacancies across the state of Kansas. And the teaching candidates right now have all the leverage, meaning that they will have the opportunity to take advantage of multiple job offers and they evaluate those amongst other districts when they're thinking about what is the best fit for their overall career pathway. And it is an opportunity not only for the school district, meaning us as Spring Hill Schools, to evaluate that candidate, but it's definitely an opportunity for that candidate to evaluate the school districts that they have offers from as well. And now we'll have Leah kind of talk about some of the options that we have for students.
So we have some really great opportunities. Just to kind of put in there, our current offerings in our teaching and training pathway is 4 courses. So we have an introductory level course, career and life planning. And then at the technical level, students can take human growth and development, as well as teaching as a career. And then our final opportunity as of right now is teaching internship. And we have several students that have maxed out their courses by their junior year. So they're entering their senior year wanting to go into education, but not really having a course opportunity to take at the high school. So we are working to try and alleviate that problem. And we have 2 opportunities, a paraprofessional internship as well as a youth teacher apprenticeship through the state of Kansas. Okay, technology. All right. So kind of to go through what those opportunities are, we'll start with the first option, which is our paraprofessional internship. This would just be for seniors who are interested, and they would be working with the school district employed as a paraprofessional. So they would actually apply through Frontline. Their parents would be aware of this, and they would enter into a contract with us. They would take teaching as a career, which will be a college now opportunity for students starting the 25-26 school year. Their essential functions would be the same as a paraprofessional in the district. It would be modified down a little bit. There are some duties that paraprofessionals do that really wouldn't fit for a senior in high school. So we've kind of outlined those for students. And then they would go through the paraprofessional evaluation, the same tool that is used with our current paraprofessionals, and they would be evaluated every 9 weeks. And so they would be evaluated by their mentor teacher as well as the principal. And then myself as the real world learning coordinator would work with them and their mentor teacher and the principals as well. They would obtain their internship requirements for their post-secondary assets, as well as the Kaufman MBA. The second option is our teacher youth apprenticeship. And this would be open for juniors and seniors. And this would be a partnership between the school district, KSDE, as well as workforce development. They would be employed by the district as a youth teacher apprentice. And so they would take teaching as a career, and then their senior year would look a little bit different, and we'll look at that here just shortly. One thing to note is they could get up to 15 college hours by doing this opportunity. Their essential functions would be whole class instruction, individual and small group work. So some of those paraprofessional duties, but expanded on. So they're really actually actively teaching. They would complete 6 lessons each semester that they would be teaching in front of their course. Their evaluation would be competency-based. We have adapted those competencies from the KSDE Youth Apprentice guidelines. They allow us to really make this fit for our district. So working with Eric and Kristen, we really looked at what those essential functions are to make sure that those competencies could be met by a student participating in this. For their graduation requirements, they would get their internship their junior year by completing teaching internship, and then they would also complete a youth registered apprenticeship. So they would have 2 post-secondary assets already completed upon graduating. So for the paraprofessional internship, it would look pretty similar to just a normal class schedule. Their junior year, they would do their teaching internship. Their senior year, they would do their paraprofessional internship for 2 hours in the fall, and then they would work a half a day their spring semester. So they would still be earning credit at the high school. And then with the teacher youth apprenticeship, their apprenticeship actually would begin their junior year. And so they would do their 2 hours, earning around 300 hours in that teaching internship. So this kind of maps out what their course schedule would look like. And then their senior year with the apprenticeship, students would have to commit to doing the full year. So that's kind of their biggest difference is students are going to have to really want to do this. And then they could take Comp 1, government through JCCC, a STEM, 2 electives, and then they would be enrolled in their professional learning experience. And that would be 2 hours as their youth teacher apprenticeship. In the spring, they would work their half day as their youth apprenticeship, earning some additional college hours. And through some funding with workforce development, there are opportunities for that college classes to be paid for through workforce development. So are there any questions about the 2 options before we go on?
So Leah shared a lot of really good information, and this really is a proactive approach for us to generate that overall curiosity and interest around Spring Hill students wanting to give back to the community, wanting to potentially become a future educator. Because right now, at a lot of dinner table conversations, becoming a teacher is not always as popular. And we can really kind of generate that overall curiosity to the profession and generate that excitement for the profession as well. Finding and cultivating relationships is something that's going to be very important, because by the time a Spring Hill High School student enters into a college and university, they will have multiple school districts reaching out to them potentially for their services if they are interested in teaching. And we can generate that overall fostering really that good relationship to really help us differentiate ourselves from those other districts by the time that they are really looking for a career path and also looking for a career option going into sophomore and also junior year. At this point in time right now, from an overall landscape perspective, there are more and more college students already knowing where they're going to be working in regards to a full-time employment before they actually graduate college, going into that, completing the junior year, going into the senior year. A lot of times when you go to a career fair, it's just too late. And to generate that overall interest and curiosity with our own students wanting to give back to the community is the best way to kind of differentiate ourselves versus the other districts that we may go up against. This is definitely a long-term recruitment strategy while recruiting the students early in the stage of the process. And then we can also offer incentives and resources, such as College Now that we already talked about, these advanced placement courses where you can get the higher GPA, grants, and also scholarships. There are a lot of grants and scholarships available for the future educators that potentially want to give back to their communities. So this next piece is something that's very exciting that I definitely am very passionate about, and this is an aggressive and a proactive approach. This would definitely be a Spring Hill Schools early offer of recruitment contract. And basically this will give Spring Hill High School students the opportunity to be hired as a future Spring Hill teacher by the time that they actually graduate from high school. But there will be some stipulations to it. So it would be contingent upon that student actually graduating from a college prep program, 4-year university, them attaining their KSDE licensure in the content area that they choose to teach, to have those positive background checks and also the positive references. Those will be our outs just in case that candidate does not uphold their end of the bargain as well, because we definitely want to show that we're interested in them, but we also want to let them know that the work is not completed as well, that they will have to work to meet the mark in order to become a teacher that leads our students in the classroom. And then this gives Spring Hill students the opportunity to give back to the community. Because a lot of times when I go out and recruit at universities, that is the number one driver for the future educators entering the marketplace. They want to give back. They want to build the next generation. And I think this is definitely a proactive approach that we can definitely take. But that concludes our portion of what we wanted to present today. And we just want to see what questions that you may have.
Are there other districts that are already doing this? I'm assuming there are.
Yes, there are a few districts doing it right now. I would definitely say we would be more on the leading side. There are some laboring districts in Johnson County that is doing it right now with a cohort. I would say somewhere in between 5 to 10 teachers per year that they're getting that are high school seniors interested in wanting to become a future teacher 4 to 5 years down the road.
And then go ahead.
With the Youth Registered Apprenticeship, this is a new initiative for KSDE. They have a teacher apprenticeship program for an adult. And so we would be one of the kind of early adopters for their Youth Registered Apprenticeship. We would be the only district in Johnson County taking this on for next school year. And we do have a student for next school year that is interested in this opportunity if it's something we can move forward with.
So my other question is, would there be a possibility, or do you see a possibility down the road where you could bring maybe some students in from neighboring districts that don't offer this for the internship piece of it?
Yeah, I think that that's something, especially as we look for like our partnerships, we can reach out to other districts that maybe don't have this opportunity and to get them in with us so that they're doing their internship.
I mean, they would probably want to do it with their own kids, but sometimes they're just looking for opportunities to get kids out. And so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I love this idea. My niece just graduated from the Olathe School District and was offered, and as she's going into education, she was offered an early contract. Although I still am trying to recruit her here. We have 4 years, don't worry. But it definitely, she's like, no, I'm gonna work in Olathe, and they keep that loyalty and they keep that heart for their district. And so if we can have our students who already love us and already know what we're about here, I love this idea. And I didn't hear anything about the Kansas Future Teachers Academy. Do we have kids going to that?
We have brought that as an opportunity. The last 2 years, we have not had any students who have applied, but it is something that we present to them. We have Todd Brown from Emporia comes and speaks to our classes, and we try to attend the events that are happening here locally as well.
Please keep in mind, there is funds at Chef Has to have kids to pay for them to attend that. So, and I did hear that there's now a second year. It used to be just for juniors, whatever. Now there's a second year. My niece also attended that and said it was wonderful, along with they're trying to expand it to multiple weeks per summer. So I think there's a lot of awesome, fun things to encourage teachers and people into that profession.
Just one other question. What would be the scenario if you had someone that was offered an early contract and then they get out and you really don't have that position open? Does it include, I didn't read through the contract, but does it include like you just got to go somewhere and then when a position opens up, you'd be considered for it?
Yeah, that's definitely a great question. We haven't thought about that scenario yet. I do have some general ideas of what we could do. That would be potentially placing that individual as a long-term substitute teacher until an opening opens up within their content area. And to that key point, especially that that was just stated, we have to get out and recruit early. And the best way to do it is to show that we are interested in them and to show those students that this is a viable career. And if we can really highlight that, I really think we can differentiate ourselves versus a lot of other districts within the Johnson County and also the KC Metro. Because Olathe is very effective doing it right now, but there are not too many districts out there really taking advantage of things like this.
Do you keep a line of communication open with those students? Like, do you check in yearly as they're going through the schooling process? Do you offer any help or guidance through the way? Is there a way to kind of keep check-ins with them?
I think from my aspect as, real world learning, I would definitely keep in contact with them and invite them back to speak to our current courses in our teaching as a career and teaching internship courses, just so they can hear what it's really like when you leave high school and you move on to the post-secondary world. So I would definitely say, yes, we would keep in contact. I think Eric probably would as well keep in contact with them.
Yeah, and one other thing I would definitely like to add to that, if we do implement something like this, it definitely opens up the floodgates of us being able to have those connection points with an individual, being able to do some classified open opportunities such as a paraprofessional role or substitute teaching while they're on break. If they're attending a university that's out of town, if they want to come in, it allows us to keep those connection points while they're going through their academic journey as well.
Well, and if I'm not mistaken, at the honors and scholarship presentation, right? There were 2 or 3 scholarships that were handed out that were specific to education pathways, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so, but I was not there.
Okay, so I wasn't the only one. Yeah.
There was at least 2.
Yeah, at least 2, but I think yeah. Okay, and I'm just wondering. Yeah. Anyway, I just
I love April's thought, and even going further, it would be awesome to not only keep in contact and tabs on them, but maybe even a mentor. So if they're in elementary ed, having that mentor, like I think the more relationship building we can have with that, the chances of us bringing them back are high.
Even just somebody who cares about their future and has been there, right? So when the student is like, oh my gosh, this X year is killing me, there's that relatable point to be like, yeah, got me too, sister, you know?
Well, and that's kind of the,
Or brother.
so one of the things with Pathways is, they tend to, when during their authorship, there tends to be a university or whoever that's contributing. Do we know kind of who's pushing, what universities in Kansas are pushing for this? And really the end of my question ends up with, what, as students hit the off ramp of Spring Hill, how are we getting them into the on ramp of a program that, quite frankly, through this mentorship and all that, is going to get them right back to where they're supposed to be, kind of.
So as we look at like the youth registered apprenticeship, that they want as many college hours as possible. So Johnson County Community College has an elementary education associate's degree that they can start taking courses with. And then Johnson County and Emporia partner together so that they can transition directly from Johnson County Community College and go into Emporia's program. So Todd Brown has welcomed his help in getting students set up and in going into their program. They also have the Emporia KC program, so they can take their courses online. And those students would then be able to continue working as a paraprofessional in the district while they take their courses through Emporia. Having taught this course last year, many of my students were interested in going to Emporia and Pitt State, were kind of our two primary places. Emporia was definitely higher than Pitt State. I only had a few interested in going to Pitt State. I know that KSDE is working with Emporia. Pitt State was not currently interested, but that conversation is continuing.
One additional thing to share about the Emporia KC program, they offer a significant amount of scholarships to Kansas City area students that are looking to become a future educator as well. So it significantly cut down the cost of overall higher education expenses with tuition.
So Eric, are you bringing this to us then because this is going to be part of the 25-26 curriculum? Yeah, what I want to understand is, I'm hopeful that this is moving forward rapidly, right? So
Yes, so we are hopeful. I'm hoping that we can have this going at least as a pilot for the 25-26 school year. We have one senior who has maxed out all of the courses she's able to take at the high school in the teaching pathway, and she is interested in pursuing this. So this work kind of started early on in the fall of 24 in trying to develop a plan for that student and to expand it for our other students in that same situation. So we are hopeful to at least roll out either the paraprofessional internship opportunity or be able to offer her the youth registered apprenticeship opportunity and to get that going with KSDE for the 25-26 school year. And that would be a partnership with KSDE and workforce development. And since this is kind of the pilot year and this is just beginning, we would be part of the constructing this program for the entire state of Kansas. So we would be one of, I believe, five districts that would be offering the youth registered apprenticeship for the 25-26 school year.
So this is just awareness for us then?
Awareness, and then Kristen or Aaron, what is our steps? I don't know what the step. I am presenting the opportunity and then with your blessing to move forward with this.
Bob Euchre.
What Leah has presented this evening and what Mr. Tyler has presented, these all fall under the current program planning guide for the high school. So the course itself that the student would be enrolled in already exists. So this is really just awareness of that opportunity for us to, get a student in those professional learning experience classes and take it in a way that could really benefit us in the future when we talk about recruiting our own students to come back and work as educators here in Spring Hill.
Okay, that's what I thought the answer was. So best of success, and I hope we can get this thing lit off for this current school year.
Any other questions or thoughts? Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Exciting things. Okay, moving on to 8.04, the revenue neutral rate recommendation.
And we'll let Mr. Swin will present that. I don't know. This is a statute by the state of Kansas. This is the third year that we have to basically provide an intent as to whether we're going to be revenue neutral or not. Same information as the prior 2 years, but I'll let Mr. Swin tell you, give you some insight as well as the recommendation. Now, we will again approve this, come back as an action item in July. Mr. Swin.
Yeah, this one's fairly simple. You will see that I attached 2 documents to board docs. One is just the guidelines, kind of explaining the steps that need to be taken. The second one is the notice that gets filed with the county. The county has went to a new online submission form, which is kind of nice. You'll see attached, there is a proposal that says we indeed intend to exceed the revenue neutral rate, and our proposed mill levy would be 67.087. That would be keeping the mill levy flat to where it is right now. Now, obviously, the hope is that when Mr. Holder puts the budget together this year, that maybe, just maybe, he can drop it a little bit. It's not going to be possible to drop it much. But right now, the lid, you got to set a lid, and the lid is flat, which is meeting the promise to our voters of not increasing the mill levy with the passage of the 2025 bond issue. So this just sets your lid, not to exceed, and it's we don't even have budget software yet, so we can't even give you a preliminary idea what the new mill levy will be, but we can guarantee you that it will be flat or slightly declining. And I emphasize slightly. Any questions?
Yeah, when do they normally give us the software?
It varies, but sometimes it's not till July. So I would anticipate hopefully maybe by the end of this week, usually by the end of June, but yeah, we're at the mercy of the people in Topeka, going through all the formulas, making sure everything calculates properly. There'll be an email go out that says the software is now available. Everybody rushes to download it and then start plugging in your numbers. Keep in mind, our fiscal year doesn't end till June 30th, and yet it takes probably another month to get everything in, so we know exactly where we're at and can kind of give you an idea where we're at. So we're a ways off from a preliminary number, and so please be patient.
My point was more make sure that school boards comply with the statutory deadlines. Oh, by the way, everything that you need to do your job will come at the last possible second. Thank you very much.
Are there still things going on at the federal level that are kind of uncertain about funding, or would that be pushed a year out more?
Federal, I think there's still some uncertainty there. Yeah, I don't have all the answers on that one, but I do know some things were put on hold, and then there's been some numbers come out where it looks like maybe some Title I and other federal allotments are going down slightly, but not terrible. So
Okay.
something to keep an eye on. we don't get much federal funding to begin with, so a huge cut in federal state aid or federal aid is not detrimental to us as much as some of the other districts that are heavily reliant on federal funds.
Yeah, I want to say we're less than 1%. Around there.
2 to 3, I think.
Was it 2 to 3?
Yeah, it's somewhere in the budget book, but yeah, it's really small.
And that's the piece of that would also be our biggest portion of federal funds would be the food and nutrition. But that's not under the Department of Education. That's under the agriculture. So.
Good point.
Any other thoughts about the revenue neutral rate recommendation? This will come back next week or next 2 weeks.
Yeah, next meeting for you to take action, and then the form needs to be the final needs to be uploaded to Johnson County by July 20th so that they have it.
Okay. Thanks, Doug.
Yep.
Okay, moving on. 8.05, consideration of bond resolution for issuance of Series 2025 general obligation.
Okay, as you know, last meeting you approved a resolution that would basically put in a motion to sell our bonds from our successful bond. However, even whenever you put all that into action and get buyers, that still has to be brought back to the board to accept those individuals that have offered to buy those bonds at certain rates. And so tonight, again, we have back with us Mr. Bauernberg from Raymond James, and he's going to tell you what's been put in motion since that time and actually what's transpired today when they actually did put in a motion to see what we could sell those bonds and what the interest was. And it was a good day. So Mr. Bauernberg, you can have the floor to give us an update on that and what we need to do moving forward.
Sure. Thank you for the introduction and appreciate the opportunity to be here. It's been a busy couple of weeks since we last met with you on June 9th, and the action on June 9th was that authorizing resolution, and that really gave us permission to push further into that sale process, obtain the bond rating, send disclosure information to investors, and it gave Kevin and Chanel from Gilmore and Bell permission to start finalizing or working towards finalizing the legal documents. And so it's been a busy couple of weeks. It's been a very busy day, but we've had a couple of things that have occurred since we last met with you. Probably the most important one was the release by KSDE of the new state aid percentages for your bond issue. And previously we were at 46% for this current fiscal year. That will change to 35% for the upcoming year. Doesn't impact the state aid that we were expecting on this new issue because that is at 0%. But what it does impact is the pre-2015 bonds that are outstanding. So we'll be getting a little less state aid. The other thing that, pretty quickly came to our attention is that doesn't only impact the bond and interest fund, it can impact your capital outlay levy and where you want to set the LOB. So coming in off of the discussion of the revenue neutral rate and knowing that we have to hold that mill levy at current levels, because that's what you promised voters, was very important to us. So we ended up a couple of modifications to the plan of finance, not anything dramatic. We intentionally are driving more reoffering premium, which will put some additional cash into that bond and interest fund. And the good news is what we're able to do is instead of holding that mill levy in the bond and interest fund at 21.979 mills, we're actually showing we can lower that for a few years, for about 3 years, by 1.5 mills to 20.549. And that gives Doug and Nathan and the district an opportunity when you're working on the budget that if you need to set your LOB levy a little higher or not pull the capital outlay levy down, that you've got some flexibility with where we set the bond and interest fund levy. So that was one of the big challenges that we were able to navigate, and I think we navigated it pretty well. We also, since the last meeting, worked with Moody's, the rating agency, to have your rating released, and pleased to announce that they affirmed the A1 rating, and they also assigned a stable outlook. That's what we expected, and we were glad to have that released. I think also at the last meeting, I shared with you the concept of municipal bond insurance. And that's where you can pay a premium to a bond insurance company. That's where, and then that allows us to use not only the A1 underlying rating of the district, but the AA rating of the insurance company, and having bonds that are offered to investors with bond insurance, which is additional credit enhancement, and a higher bond rating allows us to push for lower interest rates. So we previously had estimated insurance was going to cost about 20 basis points as a one-time upfront fee. And we ended up getting quotes from both insurance companies. The best quote was Assured Guarantee, and they offered a premium of 7 basis points. So it came in, better than what we had expected. And what that ended up driving for the district is about $485,239 of additional bond proceeds. So that's the benefit of bond insurance. And that $485,000 is net to the district after paying the cost of that bond insurance premium. So we felt really good about having everything set up going into the bond sale, even working through, surprise on the state aid and some slight modifications to our plan of finance. This morning, we worked with our trading desk and our sales force to open up the order period. And during that order period is when we accept orders from investors for the purchase of your bonds. And we set the preliminary expected interest rates. And then at the end of the order period, we look at the demand and see if there's an opportunity to lower those interest rates. And we had two very good things that occurred this morning. The bond market opened up very strong. The 10-year Treasury declined by 7 basis points this morning, which was a rally and a pretty significant one. So it was nice to see that window of opportunity open up at just the right time for your sale. And we also had very strong demand. We had more orders for the bonds than we had bonds to sell. And so what we do at the end of the order period when that occurs is we, and this is primarily our trading desk, pushes the interest rates lower and to see at what point do we start losing investors? How far can we, lower the interest rates? And every maturity or every year of the bond issue, we're able to lower the yields by anywhere between 1 and 7 basis points. So it was really nice to see strong demand, strong bond market, and lock in, favorable interest rates and put you in a position where that mill levy gives you some flexibility, at least for the next, 3 years. And then we'll look at maybe pulling that mill levy back up to that 21.979, the mill levy that we had, targeted all along. But I had mentioned that we intentionally generated some additional reoffering premium from the sale of the bonds. Bonds were sold at a premium price to investors. And so we recognized that, that deliver what you promise that we talked about at the last meeting, it's on the mill levy and it's also on the project. And we wanted to put some additional project dollars in a sub-account of the improvement fund. So we have, at the closing, we'll take $2 million of the reoffering premium, put that into the bond and interest fund immediately. And then we have $4,584,815 from the premium that we will park in a sub-account. Ideally, we would like to use some of that in the next, 2 or 3 years to manage that mill levy. But we don't want to move that into the bond and interest fund just yet, because if we do, then if you need it for the project, we can't pull that back out. So just like we did in 2018 and some of your prior elections, we'll park it in that premium sub-account. You'll have that $4.5 million of additional premium that's there to be used for project cost if need be. And then you also will have some interest earnings on top of that. And depending upon the draw schedule that we get, we don't have that yet from your construction team, but your interest earnings could be anywhere from 1.3 to 2 million, and that will be available for paying project cost also. So we'll have 60 million going into the project fund, plus that additional 4.5 in a sub account, plus an additional maybe up to 2 million of investment earnings that you'll have available for project purposes if need be. And ideally, it is a tighter plan of finance from when we called the election, given some of these challenges. But ideally, if that money is not needed for project cost, we move that into the bond and interest fund, and that helps us maintain that targeted mill levy that we've been looking at. So that's an overview of kind of the process we went through. When you look at, some of the key results between the prior financing analysis I had shared with you and where we stand today. When we met on June 9th, the estimated principal amount was $65,315,000, and that was 60 million of the new money bonds that voters authorized, plus the 5.3 million in refinancing. With that lower amount of state aid, we ended up refunding one additional outstanding maturity. So instead of 65.3 million, we're at 65.9 million or 65,900,000 even. So slight change in the amount of the bond issue. And then the reoffering yields at which the bonds were sold to investors from that meeting 2 weeks ago, we were showing yields in the first year of 3.3% going out to 4.69%. Today, the yields were 3.04% going out to 4.63%. And I'd mentioned the mill levy already. So with putting that additional premium that we're able to drive or generate into the bond and interest fund, that gives us about 3 years of holding that mill levy a little bit lower. So I'll stop there and answer any questions, but I also know that Kevin and Chanel will be happy to answer any questions about the resolution that you would adopt. That resolution will lock in the interest rates, lock in the amounts that are presented to you this evening. It also allows for adoption of a number of ancillary legal documents, including a continuing disclosure agreement with Gilmore and Bell that will help you with the future continuing disclosure filings, the escrow trust agreement, bond purchase agreement, and some other closing documents. But I'll stop there and answer any questions, and I know Kevin and Chanel will be happy to answer questions as well.
Wow, thank you. That's a lot of information. But it sounds like it was a great day.
It was a good day, and sorry for too much information, but it's all good news.
Never too much.
No, good information. And I love hearing it, and it could have, I'm gonna put it a different way. It could have gone way worse. It could have gone way worse. So good stuff.
Yeah. So when do we get going?
Yeah.
Okay, so comments, thoughts, questions? You answered them all.
Good.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for coming out. Thank you for all of
Yeah,
this.
thank you for coming and sitting here for 2 hours and 20 minutes. Appreciate it.
I'm glad to.
It's a lot of good news.
Yes.
We sure appreciate the opportunity, so thank you.
Thank you. Okay, y'all, let's continue on. We have some action items. 9.01, approve bond resolution for issuance of series 2025 general obligation refunding and improvement bonds.
Madam President, I'll move to approve 9.01.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any other discussion? Rachel, please take the vote.
Mr. Ewing,
Yes.
Mrs. Milius,
Yes.
Mr. Hull,
Yes.
Mrs. Baker,
Yes.
Mrs. Horn,
Yes.
Mr. Chitwood,
Yes.
Mrs. Mitchell,
Yes.
approved.
Okay. Thank you. All right, 9.02, approve the amended 2024-2025 budget. My only thought here is there, since this is an official thing, do we need to read anything special, Rachel?
I'm happy to answer that. No, that just the board votes to approve the amended budget as presented earlier this evening. So.
Thank you.
Madam President, I move that the board approve the amended budget as was presented earlier this evening.
Second.
Yeah, motion and a second. Any further discussion? Rachel, please take the vote.
Mrs. Milius,
Yes.
Mr. Hull,
Yes.
Mrs. Baker,
Yes.
Mrs. Horn,
Yes.
Mr. Chitwood,
Yes.
Mrs. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Ewing,
Yes.
approved.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, moving on to future discussion items. Any that we would like to add? I have one that I would like to add. It's come to my attention that there was a core request or a freedom of information request done earlier this year. And it included our students' names and their addresses. And it was, from what I've been told, it was all legally supplied. But I think this is a really great opportunity for us to look at enrollment. What boxes are checked? What are we missing for parents? How do we educate our parents on everything that they're going through as they enroll? Is there an opportunity for them to opt out of that information being available? Because I think that if it can be requested anywhere, there's options for us, I hope, to prevent that from happening. And I think it starts with educating our parents on what they can opt in and opt out of. So I'd love more information on where during enrollment parents, that is the checkbox, and ideas on how we can let our parents know that, like, hey, this is a checkbox they can check.
Can we legally do that? If it's that type of request, do we have to still legally turn over?
I think that's a great question. I'm not sure.
I would want to start there because I don't want to worry about a checkbox if it doesn't matter.
I think I would guess all information, just like if you are signing up for something, you get to choose what information is shared with third parties, right?
So isn't there the FERPA law that's kind of like HIPAA, that's student information, right? Somebody knows this, right? There's somebody out there that knows the answer to these questions. There's gotta be.
Well, and we don't have to talk about it today, but I think that I want to add it as a discussion item so that we can have a really thorough, and we don't have to put anyone on the spot, but a thorough conversation about it.
Legal versus opt-in.
And I don't want to call anyone.
No.
Yeah.
I want to give just a 20,000 foot, because I think I can answer quite a bit and maybe make the next event shorter. There's a privacy statement. Both FERPA and the Kansas Student Data Privacy Act are required. It is a full form that just lists all the steps necessary that parents can do during the enrollment process. So it is actually a step during the online registration process.
That's already there.
That's already there. I will make sure. I couldn't get the link to work. I was trying to get the link on the new website. There's a few things that are still not quite there. So once I'll get that and send that to Dr. Luttrell so that he can send that document out and everybody can see that. I think that will get you there. And then Greg was right there. Where did he go?
That's okay.
Don't need to but from a legal standpoint, the FERPA law is pretty clear about those items are considered directory information. And unless a parent takes action, that directory information is public record.
So not very many years ago, our schools weren't allowed to give out directory information to their students without an additional page being signed. So I'm wanting to know like where that changed and how all of a sudden it's just included in there. Because when my kids were in elementary school, our school was not allowed to provide a directory because it wasn't public information unless they signed the additional form that the school sent out. So I think there's a bigger conversation to have and understanding through it all. But can you please add that to the list? Thank you.
Do you know who requested the information?
I do, but I'm not sure how to disperse that. And I think that's part of the conversation. Okay, anything else we want to add? Okay, all right, let's move on to the board work calendar. I think that we're pretty on track. I think there's a couple things that have been moved a little bit further in July just due to some vacations. But one thing that I wondered your opinion on is we have a work session next week. And I think we have an executive session ready for that. I had originally hoped to bring Josh in to hit some of those really non-fun things like policy, but he's just going to be getting back from vacation and unable to be ready for us. Something that I heard recently is that another school district does their organizational items. They kind of prep them before the first meeting in July. So they kind of go through and do all the assigning and then they vote on it the first meeting in July. So it's not kind of a clustery like, oh, do this, do that, do this. So I thought, depending on everyone's thoughts, maybe it would be a really great time during that work session to go through those organizational items, since there's quite a few things changing. I think for the first time in a while, we're going to have new treasurer on there. But looking at you, Mr. Schwinn. But it could be good to kind of go through it, prep it, and then vote on it right away, and we can get the July meeting rolling quickly.
So are you talking about just like, that would be the essence of the work session, is just going through these organizational items?
Yeah, and I don't think it doesn't
be a short one.
It could be. We also have an executive session in that work session, but looking to, instead of just doing the KSB, since Josh will just be getting back, I was looking to say, what else can we pull in there? And since July, with everyone being back, could be a busier meeting, if we just had that ready to vote on, maybe that's easy. I don't know.
Sounds good.
If you guys aren't with it, I'm okay with that too, but.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's good to have a chance to talk about it. So that way we can,
and
somebody has a crazy passion. It's good to know.
It was interesting because one of the other districts that had done it, they already knew. So there's not the weird seat change thing. There's not some of the whoever's coming in can run the meeting well. Like it was just a really great thought. And I thought, well, let's give it a try if everyone's up for it. So yeah.
Can I just ask a clarifying question? So are you wanting to do board president and vice president elections at the work session, or just organizational?
Both. I think everything that we will like vote, like officially move forward with, that like it'll kind of be ready, right? Yeah, we'll have it all sorted out at the meeting on the 30th, if I have my dates right, sorry. And then we'll officially vote and put it into place on the first week in July.
Okay.
Does that sound fair? Yeah.
We can act on it.
We can act on it.
We can act on it then?
Yeah, it's a deadline, not a date certain, isn't it?
Yes, it's all open.
Go through it and get people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we talk about it and then
Yeah.
I guess if we're all just like, oh, this is great, we're all great, then maybe we vote on it. But if we want some time to process, we'll process.
Can we, or would we be,
I'd have to go back and check the resolution you signed in January that moved it to July. I'd have to go back and read it to make sure you're able to take action.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'd prep it and then make it official.
Yeah.
And then I had a question unrelated.
Nope.
Unrelated.
Yes, that sounds great.
I just didn't want to forget. The Google Calendar for our meetings, for the new meetings, did I miss those? Have you done those yet? For next year's meeting?
The board work calendar?
No, our
Just
Google.
Oh, no, I have not done that yet.
Do you mind, will you be?
Yes, for sure.
I love,
I don't have any meetings.
I was just gonna say, I love that. I like live and die by those.
Okay. Anything else in regards to board work calendar? Okay. All right. Well, moving on, we need an executive session.
Madam President, I move that the board go into executive session for the purpose of discussing personnel matters of non-elected personnel to protect the privacy interest of identifiable individuals under COMA. Those to be in the session include the Board of Education members, superintendent of schools, and assistant superintendent of schools, and administrators as requested. The executive session to begin at 8:35 with the open meeting resuming at half hour. With that resuming at 9:05 at this place.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. Further discussion? Rachel, please take the vote.
Mr. Hole,
Yes.
Mrs. Baker,
Yes.
Mrs. Horn,
Yes.
Mr. Chitwood,
Yes.
Mrs. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Ewing,
Yeah, I guess.
Mrs. Milius,
Yes.
approved.
are back in session and we're adjourned.